Welcome to Eagle Eye Reports. As we have been opening the scroll and singing the song of the witness, and the scroll I am speaking of is the little book of prophecy, the foundation of the entire word of Scripture, the vine of the entire prophetic bloodline. As the scroll is being opened, we've had the heavens and the earth putting forth their fruit and submitting to the authority. And we will look at these witnesses. I had been working on the EIR channel for about a month prior to June 26th in preparing to release a scroll. Now, about 7 days before posted the first video, the intro to the scroll, we had an event in the Gulf of Mexico. On June 18th, 2019, a giant squid was filmed alive. The first time one was filmed was about 7 years prior in July 2012. But on June 18th, 2019, one was recorded in the Gulf of Mexico. On June 19th, the next day, when they was reviewing the footage, and they had actually seen the image of a weird tentacle stretch out across the monitor, the rest of the research vessel's crew quickly gathered around the screen. They were fairly certain it was a giant squid, but they weren't 100% sure. So the next day is when they seen the footage of the squid. Before the team could send the footage to a squid expert, lightning struck the ship. And about 30 minutes later, a water tornado or a water spout threatens their ship. And so on June 18th, they got footage of a giant squid rising out of the depths in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, this was about 100 miles southeast of New Orleans. Now, this is significant because a squid closely resembles a spearhead. Double-edged blade, this two-edged instrument, is where the concept of the two-edged sword, which comes out of the mouth of the lamb. Now, as the scroll begins with the issuance of the two-edged sword out of the mouth. Give ear, O heavens, and let me speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. And where the two-edged sword comes in is the words of the mouth. When we look at the word mouth, give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. So this is when the commanding of the heavens and the earth begin, and the earth begins, and the heavens begin to put off their fruit, which confirm the season of the opening of the scroll. So the word mouth is 6310, from the mouth as the means of blowing. So there's where the concept of blowing on the grass and it withering comes from. Specifically edged portion. You come down here, two-edged wish word. This is where the two-edged sword comes from. This is the concept of the two-edged sword, where the word of Elohim is living and working and sharper than any two-edged sword, cutting through even to the dividing of being and spirit and joints of marrow. And so this is the concept of the two-edged sword. This is the writer of Hebrews pointing us back to the scroll. The word of Elohim is living. This word is life, as Moses told him at the end of Deuteronomy 32. It says in 47, this is not a worthless word for you because it is your life. The word of Elohim is living and working and sharper than any two-edged sword. So this is where it comes from. So this two-edged spear, this squid rising up from the depths, which appears to be a spear, which looks like a spear. As when they review the footage, lightning falls on the ship. Well, lightning is also a spear. As we will see in Habakkuk 3:11, sun, moon shall stand still in their places. This is an eclipse. This is the eclipse of July, early July, and the blood moon of mid-July. Shall stand still in their places. Like light your arrows fly. Like lightning is your glittering spear. And so here's the lightning falling from the heavens, the heights. There's the heavens witnessing. You uncover your bow, the oaths of the rod of the word. This is the opening of the seal. This is the unsealing of the scroll. This is the opening of the book. You uncover your bow, the oaths of the rod of the word. You cut through the earth with rivers. The storm of water shall pass over. This is buried. The deep shall give forth its voice. This is the kraken or the Leviathan or the giant squid. It shall lift up its hands. Now we're going to look at Hurricane Barry. As the scroll is being opened, Hurricane Barry rises out of the Gulf. Why is this significant? For their rock is not like our rock. Even our enemies are judges. See, this is the tribe of Dan rising up to issue its judgment on the tribes of Israel, which he was prophesied to do. And this is one of the main messages of the scroll. And so we're going to see as I'm opening the scroll and singing the song for the heavens and the earth to put forth their witness, Hurricane Barry rises up. And why is this significant? Well, the name Barry is given as an anglicized form of several Irish personal names. Now, what's significant about that is the nation of the island of Ireland was heavily populated and settled by the tribe of Dan, or as was called centuries ago, the coincided. And this tribe of Dan heavily settled the island of Ireland. We see here that Barry is an anglicized form of the Irish Barak, pointed spear or sharp. Now, as I've already stated in the reports, as we'll go over later, Barak being the flashing sword of Deuteronomy 32, the scroll, which we'll go over that. And so here we see this Barry, this sharp spear, rising up as the scroll is being opened. Down here we see, in some cases, the anglicized form, meaning plunderer or spear-like. So here again we see plunder or spear. So we have this concept, this Barry, this storm, this messenger rising up, which is shouting the witness of spear. Now, as I pointed out in reports, and as we'll go over later, this is the Leviathan, the Kraken, that comes up out of the depths, that rises, which is a moniker for Dan. It's a way of describing Dan. Dan is that tribe that's going to rise up out of the depths. This Leviathan, this creature, this beast, it's going to judge and show the wrath and show the season of judgment, which Dan means judge. And we'll see that later. But right now, we'll just look on this Barry and all the signs that surround the opening of the scroll. And right now, we're looking at Barry, the spear-like force. And so we see the giant squid as the spear. And as this giant squid rose up out of the depths, lightning falls from the heights and hits this boat, the same boat that catches the image of the squid. So it's almost like they come and converge at this point, this creature rising out of the depths and this lightning from the heights. Well, the lightning from the heights is the same Barak mentioned in Deuteronomy, which is the rod of judgment, the rod of Dan. So all these things are opening up at the same time. So we have all these witnesses. Barry means spear, the giant squid is spear. And now we'll look at another witness. We have the lightning falling from the heights. And so we have the heavens and the earth are witnessing at the same time. We have the depths, not just the earth, but the depths of the earth witnessing. The Kraken rises out of the depths to give a witness. At the same time, the heavens and the heights of the heavens are witnessing. In Habakkuk 3, sun, moon shall stand still in their places. Like light your arrows fly. Like lightning is your glittering spear. The glittering spear is the glittering or flashing sword of Deuteronomy 32, and it's like lightning. So we have lightning falling, converging at the same point. This great spear-like creature comes up from the depths as this spear storm Barry is fixing to bear right down the heart of America. And so these three witnesses are coinciding along with this other one. The sun and moon shall stand still in their places. Well, the 19th of June, you have the squid surface as lightning falls and strikes the same point. 7 days later, the scroll is beginning to be released through this EIR channel. And then 7 days after that, you have the solar eclipse, the sun and moon standing still in their places. And then 14 days after, about 7 days later after that, you have Barry rising up. And then about 7 days after that, we'll have the lunar eclipse. And once again, the sun and moon shall stand still in their places. And so there's that witness. And so not just that witness, but before that, we see here that in verse 9, you shall uncover your bow, the oaths of the rod of the word, Selah. So this is uncovering of the bow, the opening of the scroll, coinciding with the mountains shall see you, they tremble. The storm of water shall pass over, Barry. The deep shall give forth its voice, the kraken, the squid, it shall lift up its hands. Now it shall lift up its hands. If you look in the video that I will provide a link for in the description. You'll see when they catch the video of this kraken, this giant squid coming up, it throws forth its tentacles at the camera and wraps itself around it and wraps itself around it. So it's lifting up its hands. And while that, and to further emphasize that point, when you look at a giant squid, its anatomy, right here, each tentacular club is divided into 3 regions: a wrist, a hand, and a finger. So they're actually called hands. And so it's throwing up its hands to the camera. And so we have the fulfillment of Habakkuk right now. 9 through 11, you uncover your bow, the opening of the scroll. You uncover your bow, the opening of the scroll. The storm of water shall pass over. The deep gives forth its voice. There's Barry. The storm of water shall pass over. The kraken, the deep shall give forth its voice. It shall lift up its hands. The sun and moon standing still. The eclipses and the lightning falling as the spear, and showing the spear tying it all together. So this of 9/11/3 will be much later. Will be a few years down the road. We'll see the fulfillment of 3 and all that. And then 2, we also have Habakkuk stating the scroll here, write the vision and inscribe it on tablets. That's the scroll, so that he who reads it runs, that the vision is yet for an appointed time or the latter end. It speaks of the end and does not lie. So here we have Habakkuk pointing out the scroll, and then in chapter 3, the prophetic fulfillment, which is happening right now with the opening of the scroll. And then also with the opening of the scroll in 2, it speaks about the plunder. Because you have plundered many nations, all the remnant of the people shall plunder you. This is Dan, the plunderer. Judge not, lest you be judged yourself. Dan is the judge. Dan judges and then is judged. It says, because you have plundered many nations, that's what Dan will do, then they'll be plundered themselves. And that's also, we will see in the meaning of the name of Barry, plunderer or spear-like. And so all these witnesses are coinciding as I'm opening the scroll. Kraken comes up from the deep, throws up its hands as a lightning falls like a glittering spear. Barry, the spear storm, rises up. All these witnesses are coinciding. So there you go. Give ear, O heavens, and let me speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. Let my instruction fall as rain, my speech drop down as dew.